What really obvious thing have you only just realized? That when I was a kid and my dad would take me to the video store on Friday nights and he would go into the back room where only adults were allowed, that he was looking at porn. That the phrase mint condition means like new because it's the condition coins leave the mint in. I must have been around 11-12 years old when I realized that in order of appearance during the end credits of a movie doesn't list the actors/actresses by who is the most good-looking. I learned a couple years ago that it's not the mayor of bad news, it's actually the bearer of bad news. I'm 25. Cilantro and coriander are the same plant. I only just today realized that the walk the plank on a boat is not a special edition pirates added to their ships as a means of public execution that looked like a little wooden diving board. It is, in fact, the very same plank as the gangplank you'd normally use to get on and off of the ship. It is not the presence of the plank that is threatening, but the absence of dock. That you have to add a can of water to Campbell's soup. Apparently I've been drinking straight condensed soup. The first time I visited the USA I was on my own and in New York and going to all the museums. I kept seeing signs that said no strollers and thought, because we call strollers prams in the UK, that you guys are super strict about the proper amount of attention required to visit a museum. I actually pretended to show more interest than I had in order not to be thought of as some deadbeat out for a casual stroll. It wasn't until about day 3 that I saw a no strollers sign that included a graphic for idiots. Edit with thanks for the gold and silver and 40x the karma. That calling someone simple is just a nice way of calling someone stupid. Wife informed me of this, after 28 years of my grandma calling me simple. I realized at the age of 26 that narwhals are real because they were on an Octonauts episode. I walked into the room and was like, I thought they only do real animals on this show. Then the kid's dad said, "You're joking. Right?" I kept seeing the same Chinese characters on restaurant signs and I always wanted to know what it meant. A week ago I found out they mean restaurant. I used to always pour water into our coffee maker 1 glass at a time. It was such a pain in the ass, especially to fill the reservoir to the number of cups I wanted. Until I realized I could just fill the carafe with water, which has the exact same measurements, and pour the water in that way. I recently realized I was allergic to carrots. I just thought they made everyone's mouth numb, you know, just like almonds. I also learned recently that I have an almond allergy. I always thought you can't have your cake and eat it, too, was a weird saying because why wouldn't I be able to eat my freaking slice of cake? It's my cake. Nobody was telling me that I can't have my cake. Turns out they mean you can't eat the cake while also still retaining it. Once it is eaten, it is gone. An idiom I did not understand until this year. I am 27. Edit thank you for the silver kind stranger. This sounds ridiculous, but I recently found out about the term knee-jerk reaction. My whole life I had been saying it how I heard it, and just figured it was spelled something like knee-jerk reaction, like it was some psychology term. English is not my first language, so I was mind blown when I realized how keys, kiss, his, this, these, etc. differed in sound pronunciation. I first noticed this when I told my boyfriend I wanted a keys and he looked very confused, lol. Now I try my best to pronounce them properly. Edit grammar. My whole life I thought pay-per-view was actually pay-per-view because I had only ever heard people say it, and only recently saw it written out. That big ship's wheel I got to turn as a kid was not actually controlling the cruise ship. I was 28 before I realized the meaning to the why is 6 afraid of 7 joke. I always just thought it was dumb, 7, 8, 9, like your just electric bill wasn't paid until later in my life. I realized that to be in one's birthday suit it means to be without clothes. I thought for the longest time it was a specific set of clothes you would wear on your birthday each year. I found out when I asked, what happens when you don't fit in your birthday suit anymore? LOL. For the longest time, I always thought prima donna was prima donna. Principal Belding from Saved by the Bell is named Belding. The reason the cord hook on the vacuum spins is so you can take the whole cord off at once instead of unraveling it one loop at a time, like I have been my whole life. Edit. I learned how to spell cord today. That parents of children write letters to Santa so they can figure out what to buy them for Christmas. I can't believe how I never put that together after 32 years on this earth. I just thought it was fun little tradition. My bedroom door was broke and I finally got around to fixing it. Thought the knob was broke cause it was pushed in towards the door, so I pulled it out and realized that was how you lock the door. It called Men's Warehouse and not Men's Warehouse. It's been a couple years since I realized this and I just think that's a clever name. The villain in Halloween is not played by Michael Myers. This little piggy didn't go to the market to do any shopping. Super embarrassing, but in college I would order rum and cokes because I heard everyone else ordering the out. I misheard everyone and found out it was just rum and coke. When teenagers said we're going to TP a house, I always thought it was TP and it never made sense to me since they just covered a house with toilet paper. I recently realized that TP was the initials for toilet paper. I'm 27. This girl I know has a dog named Dog. 2 years into knowing her and being around Dog, I was having a conversation with her sister-in-law and I said I love the name Dog. How did she come up with that? Her sister-in-law responds, Dog, and I said yeah, it's a neat name. She started laughing and said no, Dog. The way you spell dog. I'm still mind blown about this, lol. Puffer fish suck in water, not air. That they put measurement stickers next to gas station doors so if a robber is running out of the store you can get a better estimate of their height. I always thought they were just there for something fun to do on road trip stops. When I was little we had an Australian shepherd named Sydney. I didn't understand why her name was Sydney until 18 years later. Saw a place labelled as public house when I moved nearby recently. It was at that moment I realised that's why they call them pubs. It's short for public house. By tornadoes sound like trains they don't mean tornadoes whistle a choo-choo sound. Not me, but my sister asked me about 2.5 months ago when we were watching John Wick 3 during the desert scene. She asked me if they were real and I asked if what were real and she said sandlands and I busted out laughing so goddamn hard and said you mean deserts? Yes, they're real. Thinking about it right now got me laughing. Up until last year I thought Nat Geo was a person. I then realized it was short for National Geographic. I thought astigmatism was astigmatism. So I thought you could have two stigmatisms. Today my friend realized pipe cleaners were originally for cleaning pipes. After I suggested using one to clean a metal straw because it's similar to a pipe. That people who always seem to know what direction it is north, south, east, west aren't somehow magical magnets but are rather just noticing where the goddamn sun is in the sky. Why did no one tell me? I regret to inform you all that it just occurred to me the other day that the game is called Sims because they're in a simulation. I'm 26. That getting your tires rotated means moving the tires to a different location on the car, not spinning the wheel. Loudly crying face. I learned that allspice is actually one spice and not a blend of spices containing cinnamon and nutmeg. Edit reworded. I do not think cinnamon and nutmeg are blends. Personal injury lawyer commercials play more frequently during daytime TV because their clientele is injured, stuck at home, and watching daytime TV. The houses in Bikini Bottom are car mufflers. In Pokemon, there is same type attack bonus, where if you use a move that is the same type as the Pokemon itself, then the move does 1.5x damage. People also refer to it as stab damage, which I thought was just a colloquial term for 1.5x damage. I only just realized that stab stands for same type attack